Hello, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Chill with Will. Jeez. This is episode 7, so hope you all doing well. Sorry for the lack of an episode last week. It was sort of a last-minute decision. Sometimes Twitter can just be very overwhelming. And it can happen very quickly, and it can really just kind of fuck with your mood. So that's kind of what happened, and I was over it, and so I decided to just not stream. So sorry, but hopefully you guys don't mind too much. I would just rather not do an episode rather than like be mad about something and then get on here and then try and pretend like I'm not upset about something, because that's, I don't know, I think that's kind of fake and phony, and I don't really like doing that stuff. I would rather just kind of tell you guys that I'm not feeling up to it tonight, and so I didn't. So anyway, that's just what happened last week. It wasn't anything like insane, but I can't promise it won't happen again, because you never know, but I will try and be, I'm just going to try and not be on Twitter as much, like right before the show. I think that's a good way to remedy that issue. So anyways, so I hope you guys like this setup. We got a new light over here that came in. I think that came in last week. I was going to use it, but, obviously it didn't stream, so it's here tonight, and it looks really cool. I'm really excited with it. But just real quick, since I'm wearing it, shout out to Al from the Al Combo on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. He sent me the Beetle Blast hockey jersey that he made. It's a Beetleborgs themed hockey jersey. It looks amazing. I love it. It's my new favorite thing. I wasn't originally going to wear it on the show tonight, but I put hydrogen peroxide because that pink shirt in the background, if you're listening to the audio, I'm sorry, but that pink shirt in the background that I'm pointing to, it has like this really annoying yellow spot like right on the crotch that showed up after I washed it at the laundromat. And so I put some hydrogen peroxide on it to get that stain out. And for some reason, I decided to do that like 20 minutes before I was supposed to go live. So I didn't want to have it fuck up my other clothes and put it back on. So we're just wearing the jersey tonight, which is fine because the jersey looks fucking cool. I don't think Al has any extras of these. So, because these were like a pre-order kind of thing. So if you missed out on it, you might be SOL. But definitely follow Al and buy some of his shit next time around and get in on pre-orders. I've bought a couple things from him already, and they are very worth it. Very high quality, very worth it. Definitely support him, okay? Anyway, so tonight on the show, I kind of wanted to talk about dating and kind of how my experience in fandom has sort of affected that. So yeah, we'll go into it a little bit. We got a new person in the chat, TN. Hi, no AC. AC is on, but it is in the living room that way. I mean, it's a direct line from that door, so I mean there's airflow, but it just takes a minute because it's just like a wall unit, and it's cooling down the whole apartment. So yeah, it's just gonna take a minute. So probably not the best idea to wear a hockey jersey when it's hot in here, but I don't care. We're just gonna power through it tonight. So yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about dating and see and just kind of how my fandom has played into that. Now I guess like to set up, if you are new here or just not too familiar with me, I'm 30, so I've been dating a minute. I've been in a couple like longer relationships. So I think the last relationship I was in, it was like 4 years. Yeah, it was like 4 years, give or take. It might have been a little bit longer than that. And then the one before that was 2 years. So yeah, so a lot of my experience, a lot of my 20s was I was in, kind of long-term relationships. So I didn't have too much experience dating. I guess a lot. I don't think I really dated a lot. And even currently I'm not really dating a lot because I am single, and I'm not really dating at all at the moment just because it's just not, it sounds so cliche, but it's not really a priority right now. And I'm just kind of in a weird place with stuff like that. And I don't know, it feels, I don't like the thought of getting vulnerable with people again. Because sometimes part of me feels like I do that too easily, and it ends up kind of biting me in the ass later on. I don't know. I just kind of am one to usually kind of go with my emotions and how I'm feeling something. And I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of how something is going. Like if I feel something is a certain way, then I don't know, it kind of would make sense that it is that way. But obviously that has not been the case a few times. Sometimes, I've felt something about how a relationship was going, and I totally misinterpreted the whole fucking thing. So, and that's just kind of something that happens. But, yeah, man. So, I'd say I really started dating a little bit after I came out, I guess. And so that would have been probably when I was like 21 or 22. Probably a little closer to 22, because when I came out, it was because of like I had a crush on a coworker, and nothing ended up happening with that. And so it was kind of like awkward, and a lot of my experience dating has been kind of meeting people like through apps, because I never really got into the gay bar scene. I don't think I've ever even fully been to like a proper gay bar or club. Yeah, I've been to WeHo because I live in LA County, so WeHo is very close. There's even a gay club locally. There's a couple actually, now that I think about it. But I don't know, for some reason I've just never been in that environment, and so I don't know, I've never really had to kind of test out dating things in real life. It's all been like through apps and stuff like Tinder and Hinge and even Grindr, because it could technically be counted as a dating app in some circles, depending on how you use it. But yeah, a lot of my experience has been like through apps and stuff, and I feel like I've always been pretty transparent on those things because I never really seen a reason to lie on those types of things. If you're like trying to just meet new people, I would rather try to represent myself authentically and truthfully, so that way there's no secrets or surprises. Not everyone thinks that way, clearly, because I'm pretty sure anyone who's dated has had their fair share of experiences with people presenting themselves one way on the internet and then meeting them in real life, and it's just like, wow, okay, you are actually nothing like how you are online, and sometimes that can be a good thing, but usually in my experience, sometimes it's a bad thing, because if you can't even like be truthful about certain things about yourself, I think that's kind of a thing where it like plays on a person's insecurity in themselves. And I don't want to say like I've always been super secure as a person, but I definitely, I don't know, I feel like I haven't been as apprehensive to represent myself like as I am in that way. Like I think there's things I'm insecure about, but I think very rarely I let those things like show. And if something's like bothering me, I kind of like don't let anyone know until like kind of later on, which is okay sometimes, but sometimes it can be a fault. Um, but yeah, so um, so like my fandom, you know, like with being like a Ranger fan or whatever. If any of you follow me on the internet, which I imagine a lot of you watching this or listening to this do, then I mean you'll know it's like no secret in my life. You know, like being a Power Rangers fan is not something I like hide. It's not like my deep dark secret. You know, I make it pretty transparent that it is definitely a thing I'm into, um, and that can be it can be surprising for a lot of people, and it can be uh, I guess it can be a lot, I'm sure. um, you know, I've talked to people before where they just kind of like looked at my Twitter and like saw that one day I just kind of like went on a tangent, um, you know, about some random thing in Power Rangers, because I mean that's what I do. That's how I use Twitter, to just kind of like talk about this one thing like ad nauseum. And they have seen that, and they've talked to me, and they're just like, I'm just very surprised that's just like your normal, that like that's just your normal Twitter. That's not like a fan account or anything like that. And I was like, no, that's not. You know, like I've told them, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't see a reason to just make a separate account for just that. You know what I mean? And I think it's like one of those things where like part of me gets it, because some people do that because they want like a more like personal account on the internet, so that way they can like talk about everything, um, and then like they have their one dedicated thing, for like all their Ranger fan friends and stuff like that. And I've just never been into having like multiple accounts of anything, even having like a separate podcast account, um, to manage is just like really annoying to me. That's why I didn't make a Twitter for this show. I'm just like operating it all out of my own account, just because I don't know, like I feel like, uh, you know, my Twitter, my Instagram, um, my LinkedIn. I'm just kidding. But just like all those social media things are just supposed to be kind of like a reflection of myself. And yeah, I mean, just being a Ranger fan is so like ingrained in who I am as a person. You know, I do talk about other things. I think people have a misinterpretation sometimes. Um, and this is kind of goes into, um, you know, some of the negative experiences I've had with dating, as a Ranger fan. A lot of people, I think, see that stuff online, and so they kind of meet me, and they end up being very surprised when I don't just talk about like Ranger stuff the whole time. If it comes up, like I'll talk about it, but like I'm not gonna bring it up. You know what I mean? Like if they bring it up, I'll just be like, yeah, I know this and this. You know what I mean? Because I understand it can be a lot. It can be a lot for someone. Like if you meet someone and they are really into like one specific thing, it can be a lot to and kind of intimidating to just be like, does this person talk about anything else? And you know, it's there's a lot of preconceived notions someone can take when they've only looked at like your profile for like 5 or 10 minutes. If they follow, like if they actually like follow the thing and like keep up with what I actually talk about, like let's say over the course of like a week or a month or whatever, then they would probably see that, oh, okay, he doesn't all the time. It's just a lot of what he talks about is Ranger related, but he is able to talk about other things that are not that. Um, so yeah, it's also a thing where like I don't care about anything. I don't think as much as I do about Rangers to that extent. So that's why I don't really talk about certain things as much, as because it's like, yeah, I'm just like whatever. If I do like something, I'll just be like, oh yeah, that's cool. I like that. That looks super sick. But I won't like. I don't know. I just won't have as much dedication to that one topic as I would like, Rangers and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely made dating strange. Like I said, people have been, I guess, intimidated by it. They've just been kind of surprised at how I ended up, presenting myself in person. And, sometimes it's flattering to hear that, but, sometimes it can be, I don't know, depending on how the person words stuff like that, I feel like it can kind of come off as condescending. Um, just because it seems like they just have this expectation that you can't talk about anything else, and they just kind of want to. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm like struggling to recall, but I feel like there was someone I met where they were kind of just like an infant, kind of like talking to me like a kid, which is kind of weird. But yeah, it was. I don't know. I've had my fair share of weird dates and stuff. I'm sure most of us have, and fair share of bad ones too. But when it comes to like, being a Ranger fan and stuff like that and dating, I really do try and keep it. Like I said, I don't want to say that I like hide it, because I don't. I think it's because I know so much about the thing. If someone like tries talking to me about it, and this is smug on my part, I'll just be like, it's like that Ron Swanson thing where it's just like, I know more than you. So like you can't talk to me about it because like I already probably know what you're gonna ask, and I probably already know about the thing. Or if like someone has like a fun fact or something and they're like really excited to share with me, which is cool. It's cool when you're dating people to see them attempt to take an interest in something that you like, because that's something I've done. When I've dated people and been in relationships with people, you do want to try and make that effort to like kind of find common ground with people, outside of just like a handful of things. I'm not saying you have to like the same things as them to the same extent as they do, but just kind of knowing that you are making an effort to get to know your partner beyond surface level stuff, and just kind of like take interest in their interest, I think is really cool. Even just knowing basic stuff, I think that means a lot to people. And that I've seen past relationships of mine, they've done that. They didn't really give Power Rangers a second thought, before we started going out. But then, like, they started noticing, like, little things, and they would tell me and be like, that's cool, And I would do the same with, like, other things. With some of the Marvel properties, I wasn't as familiar with stuff as I am now. Like Doctor Who. One of my exes was really into Doctor Who. So, just finding out, things about people and, really just seeing what they care about and, like, remembering stuff like that is, I think, a really important aspect of dating. Now, in terms of, like, when should you tell, like, people about it, I really don't think you should be doing it, like, right away, unless, like, they bring it up. I feel like in most cases, in my experience, a lot of people that I've known, I lost my train of thought. That's incredible. I totally lost my train of thought. I cannot remember what I was saying like a minute ago. Ah! This is embarrassing. Man, I started that idea train and it like got totally derailed. What the frick, dude? I'm totally lost. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let's read a comment we got here because TN's saying stuff. I told my ex about Kamen Rider and how it's integrated as part of my life. Thought it was just a hyperfixation, but then they would get mad about how I would need 30 minutes on a Sunday. Okay, well, that sounds like a douche if I've ever heard of one. Yeah, like, that's... Okay, see, like, that whole hyperfixation mentality, that's not the vibe right there. That's not, yeah, that's kind of the attitude I was talking about earlier, where they kind of, like, treat you like a child because you like this thing. And it's just, like, it's more, it goes deeper than that. You know what I mean? And I wish you would understand that it's just a thing I'm into, but there's more to me than that one thing, and I think you really gotta work hard to weed throughout people who are willing to look past that one thing, which you should be. You shouldn't be focused on. You shouldn't be hyper focused on a hobby someone has. It seems very silly, and then like to try and write people off like that, especially if it's just like a routine thing, like, hey, 30 minutes to watch a show. That's like not an unreasonable demand. So, but regardless, I'm glad to hear that person is your ex, because that type of shit like really annoys the piss out of me, and I hate when people act like that. So and people can really kind of get trapped with with people like that who kind of demean them and talk down to them for just something that they like. So I'm glad you're out of that situation. I am still totally lost on where I was going with my thoughts, but whatever. Fuck it, fuck it, I guess. That's God. This is why I need to be making notes for the podcast all the time, and not just sometimes. But whatever. Live and learn. But yeah, man. I would say overall my dating experience has been like fairly positive. I really don't want to know what it's going to be like now. I haven't really made that much leeway in terms of the dating scene since my last relationship ended, and that was 2 years ago at this point, which doesn't seem like that long ago, but I guess it has been. But yeah, like, I've talked to people here and there. We've had our share of like hookups and flings and whatever, and things didn't work out or whatever. Things just kind of like ended, and I don't know. I kind of just haven't been in a comfortable place where I kind of want to put myself out there again. Uh, yeah, it just there's just so much other shit going on in my life. Like there's all this stuff I want to do, and I don't think there's any perfect time to like ever get in a relationship. Um, because you should always be working on yourself, whether you are single, dating, married, you know, whatever. I think you should always be constantly working on self improvement. But I don't know. It can be overwhelming when you have like a bunch of other things that you want to do to like factor in the thoughts and feelings of another person in your life. Yeah, because I mean, like, yeah, it's just like I got like me and my sister. My sister lives with me, um, and so I really am just. I've been trying to just focus on like getting us in a cool little spot. I'd like to get a bigger, apartment or something, or a condo. A condo would be cool. Can you imagine a condo in Southern California? Right now, that's just a pipe dream. But hopefully, sometime soon, that situation changes. Um, but yeah, man, like that, that whole thing's going on, and I can't really think of, or like imagine having someone else to think about and I guess kind of care about. Um, yeah, maybe I'm also just jaded, because yeah, I don't know, like I don't know, I don't know if I like processed my breakup and the subsequent flings and relationships, whatever you want to call them, afterwards, um, well, and I don't know if I'm like still grieving some of that stuff, so that could be part of it as well. But you know, I just got to take it one day at a time, and be patient with myself and be willing to I don't know, just like not rush myself, because I don't think I've always been a firm believer that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, and things will happen the way they're supposed to. And the relationships I had didn't work out, but that doesn't mean they weren't for my benefit or anything like that. I am still grateful for those things because all that stuff is a lesson in the grand scheme of everything. But yeah, Tian asked how's it like in SoCal. It's pretty cool. I'm kind of biased because I've lived here my whole life. So I've never really lived anywhere else for an extended period of time. I think the most you could even count, and I wouldn't even really count it because it's awful, but I stayed in Idaho like one summer with my uncle, because I have family that lives in Idaho. And Idaho's the worst, so I would not recommend living there. But yeah, I love living in California. Although I definitely opened up to living other places a couple years ago, because oddly enough, like this time around 2 years ago, a little bit, well, it was before my breakup and after it. I was on a road trip and I went across the country, and I stopped in so many freaking places. Um, drove up the coast to Seattle, Portland. I visited family there. Stopped in Chicago on the way. We drove completely across the country. And, those little memories always pop up in my Google Photos. And, I think about that time and how, that was probably a good time for that breakup to happen, because I don't know how I would have processed it if I was just at home alone, being unemployed, which is what I would have been doing if I hadn't planned that road trip. So I'm kind of grateful I did that when those emotions were happening. Maybe I avoided too much, but it was just kind of nice to, I don't know, be independent and just kind of have these cool experiences with my sister, visiting all these places for the first time. We saw so many things, as much as we could. It was 2021, so pandemic stuff was still going on, and not everyone was fully vaccinated yet. Everyone still isn't. But, so there were still like some restrictions on things. Like we went to, when we came back from New York was our stop on that side of the country, because I have a stepbrother and stepsister that live out there. We stopped in Washington, D.C., and there was so much of the White House and like surrounding, buildings like fenced off or whatever. So it was a little different than it probably normally is, and it probably is now. Yeah, it was still a very cool experience, and I'm glad I got to do that, and just kind of like, take that time for myself and just realize, it kind of helped me realize that like you can just move. There's nothing like really tying you to where you are at the moment. You can just kind of start somewhere else, and I have like debated that, because we stopped in so many places. Nashville, Tennessee. That was a pretty cool little spot. I wish we could have been there longer. We were only there a day, but it was super cool, and I kind of see myself living there. It's hard. It's hard to say that, because if you go anywhere outside of California, you're gonna get like actual proper seasons. But then again, California's kind of getting that shit now too, because it's like snowing in LA during the winter now, because global warming and shit. But yeah, I don't know. There were a few places on that trip where I was just like, oh man, this would be kind of cool. I'd just pack up and just kind of move somewhere else, start new. No one would know me. That'd be kind of cool. Because like that idea of like starting over is like, it's scary, but it's also just like really cool, because like there's no preconceived notions that anyone has of you, because they don't know you, or they don't even know about like where you come from. I feel like that's kind of cool, like being able to do that. So I don't know, maybe that's something I'll look into one day. I don't think it's in my immediate plans, but hey, you never know. Life comes at you fast, and things can change. But yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. I think it's also like, when it comes to dating, to like kind of tie it back into the topic, when you're dating, especially in gay world, uh, the apps can make it seem like your community is very small, and um, you see kind of like a lot of the same familiar faces. And this is more so the case if you're using apps. Um, I feel like if you're like out in public, maybe it's not as drastic. I still think you're gonna see like regulars at like a gay club or a gay bar or whatever, any kind of public social setting. But I don't know. I feel like you kind of like get used to like all these people like just in your area that you like see but you never talk to, or sometimes you talk to, or you talk to them once and it was really weird. Just kind of stuff like that. So like the idea of like moving to a new area where like I said earlier, it's just like that. It's like a clean slate, It's kind of a cool idea, but yeah. So, anyways, you guys, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Um, you know, when it comes, when it comes to dating, I really try, as a Ranger fan, I try and keep in mind that the people I talk to, most times, sometimes I've been surprised, um, won't really know much of anything, and that shouldn't be like to their detriment, because that's not why you're dating people. I think people sometimes really want. I think ideally, and this is just me projecting. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like most people usually, when they think about like their significant other, their like perfect person would like also be into the thing that they're into. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case for me, but what I definitely appreciate is when I see people even taking a little bit of an interest in the things that I am into. That's what I appreciate more. I don't think you have to be as hardcore of a fan as me, or anything like that, because I think that could also get kind of like weirdly competitive in a way. Maybe, I don't know. I've never done that before, where I've like dated another Ranger fan. I've never really done that before, so I don't know. I don't know what that would be like. I feel like, I don't know. That's it's kind of weird to think about. I don't know. And part of me is also selfish with it. I kind of like Rangers just kind of being like my thing that nobody in my real life really knows about, and I can just kind of like talk to them about stuff, and then when they like venture out and do it on their own, or they do stuff like that, I can kind of like be their guide through it. So I don't know, that's kind of what I enjoy about it. But I will say though, I did talk to someone once, and they're like, has anyone ever like just like sat down with you and just like watched, like a Ranger thing with you? And I had like thought about it like when I was like dating people, and I'm like, I mean, a couple of my boyfriends did, but it was kind of more of in like a passive way, and sometimes it was in a way where like I wasn't really there. But I can recall this one time with this person. We ended up watching an episode one night, and it was just like just cuz. And I don't know. I just think about that, and I'm just like, man, that was really cool. Um, I guess it was just kind of nice, just like, because I guess in a way, like Rangers is like a comfort thing for me. So to just kind of like be there with someone and kind of like share that with them, and we just kind of like, you know, vibe or whatever. It's nothing like super serious, but it's just like really nice because I feel like, I don't know, that it's such a small thing, but I really appreciate stuff like that. So, any hoozles, that turned into a whole other little tangent. So, anyway, but thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed. I promise I will be back to a normal weekly schedule now. For now, until I miss the next episode, probably because something dumb happened. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, in the meantime, let me just again plug the Owl Combo on Twitter, Instagram, all those places. You can just go to theowlcombo.com. There's his business card. There's a QR code. I don't know if you can scan that. Is it going to scan it? Or is it going to focus on it? I don't know. Just go to theowlcombo.com. I'm not going to help you that much, okay? So go grab some stuff from him. That's super cool. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight again. And I will see you again next week for another Friday Night Chill. I don't know what we're talking about, but whatever. It's going to be fun. I hope you guys all have a good weekend. And see you next week. Bye.